Hi there friends, thanks for joining me. Today I am making some Christmas gift wrap ideas using the absolutely gorgeous November kits. I've used the main kit and I also have the embellishment kit to play with, and I'm sure if you already have yours you'll know how much there is so many different die cuts and stickers to choose from this month. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a little gift bag. I've done myself a little sketch as to how I should design the bag, and for all of my projects this week I've used them, I've created them by hand, so I've not used a cutting machine because I know not everybody has cutting machines, so I thought it would be a good idea to do some simple projects that everybody could do at home. So as I say, this gift bag is very simple, and what I'll do is I'll leave some details of the measurements, so if you wanted to make one you could do as well. So I'm starting off with a simple rectangle, and then I'm folding the edges in so to make the sides. I've done mine in centimetres, which is about 1.5 centimetres deep. So if you want to make your own, all you need to do is add on the depth of your box or bag. So for example, if you wanted to make it 1 inch deep and 4 inches wide, then you just need to add that 1 inch to the each side, so that would make it a 6-inch wide piece of paper. And then similarly, if you wanted to make it, for example, 7 inches high, you need to add that 1 inch then to the bottom. So very, very simple way of making a gift bag, and if you add more sides then you can make it into a box. So I kind of like this because I find them very versatile. So for mine, to make it into a bag, you'll see I've used that snowflake paper for the main body. I'm also going to score down the sides slightly so that it folds inwards a little bit, so it kind of makes a little dart, if you like, so it'll be thinner at the top than at the bottom. And then I'm creating a flap from that black and white check paper, which is absolutely gorgeous. I love black and white checks. So that gingham paper I think goes really well with the snowflakes, something a bit more sophisticated. So because my bag was too tall for one piece of 12 by 12 paper, I've added that gingham, but rather than, you could use the same pattern paper, but I thought it was nice to have a different pattern paper. And then I'm just going to use a border punch. That was part of my Black Friday challenge, was to get out your punches, because I really don't use mine enough and I love punches. So I'm just making a bordered edge, and what I found was I think I cut it out wrong, so I was just trying again because the centre wasn't really where the centre was. So now I've got that set. What I'm going to do is add some stitching, but I'm going to prepare all my pieces first so I can stitch them all at once. So this flap will just really attach to the back of the bag. I'll add a couple of crease lines so it folds over, and then I'll attach it at the front. I keep forgetting my measurements. So here I'm going to do those side creases. Hopefully it'll become a bit more obvious in a little minute. So I'm just marking the centre of those side flaps, and I'm just going to score down the centre about 3/4 of the way down or halfway down. Don't have to be too precise, but what that will allow me to do is to pinch the sides at the top so that the bag will be thinner at the top, as I mentioned before. Hopefully you'll see in a second, and it'll be a little bit more obvious if I remember to put it on camera. And this step really would be optional, so I've kind of made it look more complicated for a more professional finish. but really, you don't have to do that step. You can just make it the same width, depth all the way around. But I've made the top slightly thinner at the top than the bottom. So in hindsight, I think I would have made the bag a bit deeper, just because it limits what you can put inside the bag. Luckily, I found some chocolate that will go in nicely, so happy days for me. So that's how the bag will close. And I'm just going to use the same banner just to tie everything together. I'm going to use one of the little offcuts to make a tiny banner. And again, I'll sew around that off camera as well. I like to rough up my edges because, if you've cut something a little bit wonky, it'll be far more forgiving that way. So as you can see, there's some of the beautiful stickers and dies that came with the November kit. So it was really, actually, there was so much to choose from, I just didn't know what to choose. So I think that pop of bright red against the black and white is just marvellous. So I'm just going to stick the flap on, just so I can sew it all in one go. Again, you don't need to sew, the bag is pretty enough without, but I guess as a design team I feel like obliged to go that little bit extra. I'm going to close mine with some Velcro fasteners. I've got a little pack of these little fasteners. They're so handy, but you can get magnetic ones. You could use a button and string, which will look really pretty, or you can use a bit of washi tape. Depends if you want to reuse the bag. So I'm just going to get all my tape into position. Once you've had a bit of practice with this, and obviously I've had to kind of work out as I went along, you could whip one of these up really quickly. I would imagine in 15 minutes or so, but it does kind of really elevate a kind of simple gift. So I've now sewn around the outside of the bag. I'm just going to stick it all together. So the most important element here really is to ensure that you have everything square, because it's quite easy to have the bottom, for example, not absolutely at 90 degrees. So you might have more difficulty standing it up. And in fact, mine was a little bit narrow to stand up on its own, but you could easily make it thicker, as I say, by just adding that, increasing the depth of the bag. But still, I'm really pleased with the final result. As I say, it was just to hold a bit of a little chocolate. But you could put some jewellery in there if someone's that lucky, gift cards, something like that. That would be absolutely awesome. So it does look really pretty, and as I say, that extra piece of gingham that was left over will look great at the bottom and tie it all together. I've also die cut a bow off camera, just to use some of my supplies. I didn't want to use too much on gift wrapping because hey, I want to use them for scrapbooking and so on. But I do think something like this you'd probably want to keep, because you could always pop a little mini book in there. That would be so cute, or some tags. So if you've got a crafty friend, I think this would make a lovely gift for a crafty friend. So I'm just going to assemble that bow, and then just brings out that little bit of red from the bow and the die cut flower. And I've also die cut some leaves from one of the cardstock pieces from the cardstock kit. There's a kind of a jade colour and absolutely matches perfectly with the leaves on the die cuts. And I'm just going to use one of these puffy stickers as well. Oh, I love the little puffy words. I just find them so easy to use, they're just fab. So I'm just going to stick all those into place now. So I'm just going to put these last few bits and pieces on. I think if you do own a die cutting machine, I think leaves are definitely the way to go in terms of investing in dies. I use leaves all the time and they just add a little bit of movement sometimes to an embellishment. As you can see here, those little leaves have really given it a lift. You could of course layer up some more die cuts, but I think it's a really good way to stretch your supplies. I've just used one of those, the stickers from I think that's from the embellishment set. Puffy stickers. They're really good, bright colours and absolutely coordinate together with everything so perfectly. Absolutely wonderful. So I haven't gone too over the top with the decoration with this one. Gone for something a bit more classy, I think. Very simple. I think I'm just deciding if there's anything else I could put on there. I think you'll see in the final photos, I added some of the sequins from the main kit that came with the main kit this month. They are a kind of a pastel colour with the satin finish, so not quite as blingy as a normal sequin. Absolutely beautiful. They really are very, very tasteful. So I'm just adding a little bit of a centre to my die cut ribbon, or die cut bow I should say. Again, you can make one of those, a simple version of those by hand. You'll find there's loads of templates on the internet for these. They're actually quite a simple shape, so it would be a really good idea to download one, draw around a piece of cardboard and make yourself a template. So if you didn't have a die cutting machine, I would suggest trying something like that. I think you'll find that you'll use it again and again, so it was a really good way to add an embellishment. I can't resist these thickers. Again, they're exclusive. They're chipboard, but they've got a beautiful finish to them. They're just a nice size. I don't find them too thick, but they're completely matte, which I really love. So I've just used one of the hearts there to finish off my bow, and I think that's it for that one. So the next project I want to share with you is a gift card holder. I think gift cards are so helpful to give, especially when you have teenagers. Who knows what they want? So again, I've done this from scratch. I will leave the measurements below. I've just calculated how big I wanted things to be, made my score lines. So I will leave the information, or I'll try and leave a template on the Facebook group, just so that if you wanted to make your own, again, you could do so. I'm using the basil from the cardstock kit. I think it's basil. So again, it's a beautiful green colour, matching the kit perfectly. That's a teal really, I suppose, rather than green. There are 3 sections which we'll just fold over to create an envelope. So again, it's a really simple design. Mine is only 11 centimetres wide, which I'm guessing is just around maybe 4 inches. But that way, if you wanted to make more than one of these, you could make two out of a piece of 12 by 12 cardstock. I'm going to cover mine with pattern paper, but equally, because they are almost disposable, you can make them from pattern paper in the first place. So rather than having extra layers, you could just make it from one sheet of card. I love that that red pattern paper with the flowers on. It's just so bright and cheerful, and absolutely gorgeous against the teal cardstock. So I'm just measuring up. So theoretically I could have actually measured all these and then just cut them out, but I was making it up as I went along, so I'm kind of doing it maybe the more difficult way and making the marks, because I wanted really to have the cardstock showing. I want to make my pieces slightly smaller than the original cardstock. You'll see what I mean in a minute. I probably didn't make myself very clear. So there's three sections, as I say. There's a fold over flap, which is slightly shorter than the last two sections. And then I'm going to make a pocket which will hold the gift card or the money. And again, that will just need to be smaller than the bottom pocket or the bottom flap. And I'm also going to use a different pattern paper for some of it. So put my pieces together because of a habit of using the wrong pieces in the wrong places. And in fact, that's exactly what I did for this one. I intended, I think, to use the one of the stripe paper for one of the sections, but ended up just using the red. But it still turns out beautiful, so I was very happy with it. So I'm just deciding where everything's going to go, and I've got the right pieces. And the bottom flap is slightly smaller than the back section, so because I've measured them all against the cardstock, it was important to get it in the right place. So I'm going to go off and stitch all those pieces in a moment, just making sure my card will fit in. Yeah, I was going to use the reverse side at one point, but I absolutely do all that red pattern paper. So festive. I'm just going to also choose the chipboard stickers that I want to use. I was thinking about putting, because you need somewhere to write the sentiment, and I was thinking of using one of those chipboard frames for that purpose. But then I got to thinking, well, actually it'd be easier if I just write directly on the cardstock because it shows up so nicely. So I was just trying to think of another way to decorate the inside. I'm also going to close this gift card with a belly band. So again, you could use a Velcro tab as I used in my last project. You could use magnetic or a bit of washi tape, but just to take it to the next level, I am going to make a belly band, and that's nothing more than a strip of cardstock, which is about 3/4 of an inch thick. And then I've also cut out a piece of coordinating paper, slightly smaller again, so that you can see that the cardstock underneath. And I've stitched all the pieces now as well and added the tape. So this project did take a little bit longer than the first, but it would be a lot quicker if you weren't layering up the paper. So if you just made it from the cardstock, for example, it would take minutes to make this particular project. But again, I just wanted to show you how you could make it a little bit fancier, and I think the finished result is absolutely gorgeous. So it's a great way to give some money to somebody or a gift card. So I adhered all the pieces into place, and now I'm just going to make the band go around the outside of the gift card. The easiest way to do this is you could measure it all, but actually is to wrap the band actually around the gift card. That way you'll know you have enough space. So I kind of measured it around the outside, as you can see there, and I'm just using a scoring tool then just to make some definite creases. And I'm just going to stick that together with some red tape, some nice strong tape. Just to keep it into place. Now I didn't, by the time I put mine together, mine was a bit tight, so you probably want to go more loose, you know, err on the side of caution and make it a little bit more loose, but mine definitely isn't coming undone. Kind of reminds me of that pattern paper with the green of Krispy Kreme. Made a great Krispy Kreme voucher though, wouldn't it? So I'm just going to slip that on. So I say mine was a little bit tight once I had all that stitching. So I think my lesson to learn there would be to make it a bit looser. So I just want some simple decoration on that belly band because that's the bit that's going to move. And I love the little cookies that came with the main kit. So they're wooden embellishments with white decorations, and they look exactly like sugar cookies or gingerbread cookies that you get at Christmas. And the vellum star, I think, was also in the embellishment kit. And again, that has a beautiful soft finish to it. And that teal goes perfectly with the cardstock that I've used. So I'm just putting that into place, then adding on my little cookie. And then I'll just layer up when I've decided. I'm going to layer it up with one of the die cuts. Oh, and who doesn't love a candy cane? So I'm just trimming off some of the excess white there. I'll stick that into place. So I was really pleased how that's turned out, and you can see I've added some die cuts to the middle of the card now. I think maybe I didn't record that piece. So just to finish it off, I thought I'd replicate the little gingerbread man on the front, the decoration, which looks like white icing. So I'm just doing the same now inside my card. So I'm using a white ink pen, and I've drawn the line around the outside, and now I'm going to add the dots, excuse the top of my head, around the inside, which is exactly like the cookies themselves. So have a bit of practice first if you're not used to doing this sort of thing, but once you get into a rhythm, you'll find actually the little dots, they do kind of flow quite evenly. And I love how that finished it off, and it really tied it together with the gingerbread man on the front. It looks really stunning in real life with the white against the teal. And I'm just going to finish it off now with one of the puffy stickers, as I couldn't decide where to put it. And if you look on the outside, actually it's really plain, so I think that would be the best place to put it, next to the belly band. But because it was such a vivid pattern paper, I really didn't want to decorate any more than that on the outside. So I love how that turned out. That was really cool. And a great way to give a gift card. So for my next project, you may not want to use all your papers on gift wrap, because I certainly don't want to part with more than I need to. So for this one, I'm using some old music paper. I had a little stash that I picked up from a charity shop. But if you don't have the the music paper, you could just use normal gift wrap for this idea. But I really love the feel of a vintage music sheets even. So I've taken a bar of chocolate and I'm just going to wrap it in the music paper. Okay, but this would look fab if you had dictionary sheets, old maps, things like that. That would be really amazing. And then I'm going to just use some twine from my stash to create a bit of decoration. And I think if you go around 2 or 3 times, it just adds to that luxury feel. Now, if you had baker's twine, red baker's twine, that would look amazing, or any coloured baker's twine. But I kind of like the vintage feel of the just the natural twine there. And I'm going to make myself a little tag from the snowflake paper. And again, I'm not using any dies on here or fancy cutting materials. I'm just using some pinking shears just to cut out a rectangle. And again, I wasn't even that accurate with my rectangle. It's slightly bigger in one area than another. However, I do think that's what adds to the charm of the finished tag. So all I'm going to do is take a look at those gorgeous chipboard pieces again and see if I can part with one this time. I really don't want to put them on anything because they're just so pretty. But I think I'll part with this angel. It's about the right size of the tag. So I'm just sticking that in the centre. And then I kind of needed to think really of what else I can put on this tag. I mean, to be fair, it looks lovely as it is, just with the angel. But of course, I do think I need to zhuzh it up a little bit. So sometimes I think it's best just to put things aside and then come back to them if you really can't decide. So again, another gift wrap idea for my last project. I'm using the music sheet paper again, as you can see. But I thought I'd actually wrap up one of my presents, saves me having to wrap it separately. So I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Again, I'm just trimming the paper down to size, and I've just used my pinking shears for that. But of course you can just trim it with your scissors as normal. I didn't want too much excess paper because sometimes it gets a bit bulky, doesn't it? So I'm just going to wrap that up. I'm using washi tape to secure it just because I think it kind of goes with the vibe. But again, if you have your wrapping paper that for all your presents, this would look great with that. So I'm just going to quickly put that together. So for this project, I want to do another tag, but this time I wanted to incorporate some of my own personal embellishments and so on. Well, in fact, I have this candy cane. So I've got a pretty candy cane I wanted to use, and it's kind of the right sort of shaped present. And then I'm going to make myself a tag and then layer up the tag with the candy cane and some die cuts. So again, you can make this out of old Christmas cards, old gift wrap, whatever you have in hand. I think it adds to the charm of your present if it's all a little bit handmade. So I'm just going to pick out some die cuts just to see how that's all going to look. And so rather than make the tag as I did in the last project, And this time I'm going to secure the tag at both ends. So a kind of a cross between the belly band idea and a tag. So I'm effectively creating the belly band with some of the twine, and then I'm just going to wrap the twine around the present, securing the tag in the middle. So that way, when you have the tag, the present under the tree, your tag's not flapping about, and because I'm going to have the candy cane on there, it quite easily could get broken. So this way the tag stays in place against the present, and actually a really good way to send a tag gift to a friend. So all I'm doing is threading the twine through the bottom of the tag and securing that, and then I'm going to thread that twine through the other hole at the top of the tag, and I need to go from front to back rather than back to front as I've just done there. And I've doubled up the twine, so I just couldn't decide how to tie it at the bottom, so I'm going to go round again with the second part of the twine. So double the twine goes through the tag, and again out to the bottom, and then I'm just going to tie it into place quite simply with a bow. So you just need to pull it taut so it stays against your present. And it's a really simple way to decorate a present or a book. You can make a bookmark in this way. I really loved it. I've done this on several since making this video. I really love how it turned out. So I'm just going to attach the arrange the candy cane and my die cuts, and I felt like it needed a little bit of something else, so I'm going to attach a little bit of ribbon as well. So as I mentioned, it's a really good idea to check through all your Christmas supplies, your baubles. You might have old bits of tinsel. They'll be perfect for zhuzhing up simple presents. Or you can make these tags to put on cards, so it would make a perfect Christmas card in this way. So although I've done mine on presents, you really need to kind of think maybe you could adapt these to all sorts of different sorts of projects. I'm attaching mine with some removable glue dots, just so that the recipient can take the candy cane off easily. And I'm also doing the same with the die cuts, so that I can reuse them and they're not wasted after Christmas. And I really like, I think that's my favourite one, favourite way to dress up a present. So hopefully I'll make a few more of those. Just adding in the last of the die cuts there. So I'm just deciding on what I could do to that tag that I'd made earlier, and I'm just going, and I've got out some jingle bells, which I'm just going to thread through. But again, if you had some foliage, now if I'd got some holly or some fir Christmas tree foliage, I think that would look superb layered together with these tags. It would feel really Christmassy. And one last bit, I think I was looking for something for my die cuts there, and settled with the Dear Santa, which I'm just going to split into two and put into place. So although they're really simple, I do think I was trying to aim to encourage you to maybe try out these projects. So hopefully I've done that, and you can feel that you'd like to have a go as well. I'd really love to see your projects too. Nothing more satisfying than seeing someone else be inspired by your work. And then I think that's my 4 projects there. I did have another brainwave after this where I thought, well, I could use some of my stickers that came with the main kit, just to add a name, because it's quite plain, the background is, but those beautiful red stickers have little details on there, little white details, which are just gorgeous, very Christmassy. So I'm just going to put my daughter's name on there. Perfect. So I thought that was a great way to finish it off. I'm really pleased with that.